My name is Elena Rodriguez. I'm 38 years old. And until 4 months ago, I didn't know my real name. On my 38th birthday, my mother handed me an envelope she said she'd been holding since 1987. Inside was a birth certificate in a language I couldn't read, a name I'd never seen, and a letter from a woman in Bogotá who wrote, "I never signed the papers. I never stopped looking." My father said 5 words. "Don't make this about you." I booked a flight. What I found in a hospital archive in Colombia rewrote 38 years of my life and canceled my parents' anniversary celebration. Before I tell you what happened, drop a comment with your location. I want to know where this story reaches tonight. I'd been a financial analyst for 12 years, lived in Silver Spring with my husband Marcus, our daughter Sophie, who was 9, and our son Ethan, who was 6. I drove an 8-year-old Honda and ranked somewhere between a filing cabinet and a glass of water on the scale of dramatic people. That Saturday morning in April, I was setting up my birthday party. Sheet cake from Costco, streamers Sophie picked out, nothing fancy. Marcus was making pancakes in an apron Ethan had decorated. Ordinary was the whole point of my life. I was adopted from Colombia in 1987. My parents, Robert and Patricia Rodriguez, never hid it. Robert told everyone at church potlucks and parent-teacher nights, "This is Elena, our little miracle from Colombia." I'd smile. I'd been smiling at that sentence for 38 years. I never searched for birth parents. I told myself it was contentment. The truth was simpler. I was afraid the answer would cost me the only foundation I'd ever stood on. Patricia called 3 times before 9 a.m. She never called more than once unless something was wrong. They arrived at noon. Robert walked in first, shoulders squared, scanning the room like a judge inspecting a courtroom. He was 67, retired from corporate law, still on the church board. He handed me a gift bag with a book titled The Grateful Heart. Patricia followed 2 steps behind, wearing sunglasses indoors. When she hugged me, I felt her ribs shake. 20 minutes later, Robert stepped out to smoke. Patricia grabbed my wrist and pulled me into the kitchen. "I need to give you something." Her voice cracked. She pulled out an envelope. Yellow, thick, creased along the center, the kind of paper folded and unfolded over decades. Her hands trembled. "I should have given this to you 38 years ago." Inside, a birth certificate with Spanish words and government stamps, a name in both Spanish and English, María Luz Vargas, a letter, half Spanish, half broken English, signed Carmen Vargas. "How long have you had this?" "Since before we brought you home." "And you're giving it to me now?" "Because I can't carry it anymore." The birth date on that certificate was 3 days earlier than the one on every document I'd ever signed. I didn't read the letter that day. I performed normal for 3 more hours, cut the cake, opened gifts, smiled. That night, I sat across from Robert at our dining table. Marcus stood behind me. I placed the envelope between us. "What is this, Dad?" Robert picked up the birth certificate, glanced at it, set it down. His face was controlled, assessing, betraying nothing. "That letter is old, Elena. The agency handled everything legally. Did you know my birth mother was alive? Don't make this about you, Elena." 5 words, delivered like a closing argument. Calm, final. He shifted topics. The anniversary party was 3 weeks out. 180 guests, his old senior partner, Pastor Williams. He needed me to give a speech about what the Rodriguez family meant to me. "We gave you a life," he said. "That should be enough." I looked at him and felt something structural crack. "You're having a midlife crisis," he said on his way out. "Don't let it ruin everything we built." Monday morning, I called in sick and drove to Georgetown University. Dr. Ana Restrepo from the Latin American Studies Department agreed to translate the letter. I sat in a plastic chair while she read. Her face changed twice. The letter was from Carmen Vargas, a nurse in Bogotá. In May 1987, she gave birth to a daughter. She was 23, unmarried, working at a public clinic. 3 days after delivery, she returned to bring her daughter home. The bassinet was empty. The staff said the baby had been transferred to a specialist facility. When she went there, they said the child had been placed with an adoption agency. The agency told her, "It's for the best." She never signed relinquishment papers. She was never asked. The last paragraph was in English. "If you are reading this, please know I did not give you away. You were taken." Dr. Restrepo set the letter down. This letterhead. I've seen it before in news coverage about adoption agencies. I walked to my car and sat in the parking garage for 45 minutes. I didn't cry. I take inventory. I count what's missing. It's what financial analysts do. And for the first time, I turned that skill on my own story. I started with the paperwork. Robert's filing cabinet was meticulous. I'd never read past the first page of my adoption file. Now I read every page. The adoption had been processed through New Hope Adoption Services, based in Bogotá with a liaison office in D.C. The paperwork described me as infant female, abandoned at hospital, no known family. It listed a processing fee of $4,100 paid by Robert and Patricia in July 1987. I'd audited enough statements to know when a number felt wrong. Processing fees for Colombian adoptions in the mid-'80s averaged $1,000 to $1,500. Robert had paid nearly 3 times that. The receipt read, "Processing and expedited placement." I Googled New Hope Adoption Services. The agency had closed in 2003 after allegations of document fraud, coerced relinquishments, and falsified orphan status. 2 former employees had been indicted. That evening, I called my younger sister Julia. She was 35, taught high school like our mother. I gave her the short version. "Dad would never do something like that. You're overreacting." I hung up. Marcus was leaning against the kitchen counter watching me. "If you need to go to Colombia," he said, "go." That night, I found Adoptee Rights Colombia. I emailed at 11 p.m. They replied in 3 hours. Dr. Isabel Moreno was a researcher in Bogotá who helped adoptees trace falsified records. She'd been doing it for 15 years. "I've seen your agency's name before," she said on our first video call. New Hope was cited in the 1984 Health Ministry audit for making excessive payments and falsifying intake documents. She asked for scans of my American file. 2 days later, she sent back a comparison. American file, infant female, abandoned at hospital, no known parents. Colombian file, mother's name, address, occupation. Nurse, 23, unmarried, residing in Chapinero, Bogotá. 2 files. Same child. One said orphan, one said daughter. "Your file is one of dozens I've documented," Dr. Moreno said. "The agency falsified the Colombian records before translating them for American families." Then she said the thing that changed everything. "Miss Rodriguez, your birth mother registered her DNA with the Colombian National Registry in 2019. She is still actively searching. She's alive. She's 61. She's a retired nurse, and she has been looking for you since the week you were taken. 7 days after I was born, my mother started searching, and she hadn't stopped for 38 years. I told Robert on a Wednesday night. I'm flying to Bogotá next week. I've been in contact with a researcher who found my birth mother." Silence. Then his courtroom voice. "If you go, don't come back expecting to be part of this family. That's not your decision, Dad. 180 people are coming to our anniversary party. I will not have you turning this into a circus. I'm not asking permission. He hung up. Within an hour, Julia called. Dad says you're going through a midlife crisis. Did he mention the letter? The one from a mother who never signed away her child? Julia paused. He said you were confused. Did he say anything about a $4,100 payment for expedited paperwork? Longer pause. I have to go. I booked the flight. Washington to Bogotá, departing Sunday. Marcus said only one thing. I'll handle the kids. 14 hours later, I landed at El Dorado. Dr. Moreno was waiting at arrivals. We drove into Bogotá in a white Toyota. The city was waking up. Delivery trucks, street vendors, a pink sky. Dr. Moreno briefed me. New Hope was one of 5 agencies cited in 1984 for making illegal payments to hospitals and falsifying children's intake status. By the time it closed in 2003, thousands of children had been processed. Your birth mother was classified as unwed mother, voluntary relinquishment, but she never signed a form. The agency created one and submitted it to the American Liaison Office. And the American side didn't check? The American side wanted babies. They weren't checking paperwork, they were filling nurseries. She told me Carmen had been searching through official channels since 1988. She wrote letters to the agency, visited the hospital, petitioned the health ministry. And in 1988, she wrote a letter directly to your adoptive parents. I turned in my seat. To the Rodriguez household? The agency gave her the address. She never received a reply. The apartment was on the 5th floor of a concrete building. No elevator. The stairwell smelled like coffee and floor polish. Carmen Vargas stood in the doorway. Small, maybe 5 feet 1 inch. Silver gray hair, cream cardigan, hands clasped in front of her. She looked at me. I looked at her. 30 seconds. Then she said something in Spanish. Dr. Moreno translated. You have your father's eyes. She led me to a room at the end of the hallway. Inside, a wooden crib painted white, a dresser with infant clothes wrapped in tissue paper, a framed ultrasound photo, a hand-knitted hat, everything from 1987, untouched for 38 years. Carmen spoke. Dr. Moreno translated. I was a nurse. I was 23. The hospital told me my baby needed specialist care. I came back 3 days later. The bed was empty. They told me it was for the best. They did not tell me they would erase me. She opened a drawer and pulled out a stack of envelopes. 38 years of letters. Each one returned or answered with a form letter, except one. A carbon copy on tissue-thin paper, dated June 1988, written in English. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Rodriguez, I am the mother of the baby you call Elena. I did not agree to this adoption. I was not asked. I was not informed. Please, I beg you, let me see my daughter. I will not take her from you. I only want to know she is safe. I never received a reply, Carmen said. Robert received this letter. He'd lived at the same address since 1980. He collected mail like a ritual, and he never responded. Dr. Moreno looked at me. There's more. At the hospital. In the basement. The hospital was a narrow concrete building in Chapinero. Dr. Moreno had a contact in administration who understood what was buried in the basement. Fluorescent lights, metal shelving, cardboard boxes labeled by year. Dr. Moreno found the file in 35 minutes. Hospital intake record for María Luz Vargas, born May 17, 1987. Mother. Carmen Vargas, nurse, age 23. Status, healthy full-term delivery. Mother and child discharged to recovery ward. No entry for abandoned, no relinquishment, no social worker's report, no signature. At the bottom, a handwritten note in Spanish. Dr. Moreno translated, "Transfer requested by New Hope Adoption Services. Processing fee received from American partner." And a number, converted, roughly $3,800. I photographed every page. 42 pages total. 42 pages proving that a healthy baby with a living mother had been classified as an orphan, processed through an agency later shut down for fraud, and shipped to a family in Maryland who paid a premium. I called Marcus from the alley behind the hospital. "I found everything," I said. He told me Robert had called Julia twice. He told her I was having an episode. He'd called Pastor Williams to counsel Elena when she returns. "He's framing the story before you get back." "The party's still on?" He sent a group text. "See you all Saturday. Elena's doing the speech." I looked at the photos on my phone. 42 pages. A carbon copy of a letter never answered. A woman upstairs who had kept infant clothes for 38 years. "He put me in the program. Remarks by Elena Rodriguez. 5 p.m. Then I guess I'd better have something to say. I spent the second day with Carmen. Dr. Moreno translated while Carmen poured coffee and spoke. After losing me, she transferred from the maternity clinic. She couldn't work around newborns. She'd had a relationship in the 90s, a good man, an engineer, but he couldn't understand why she wouldn't stop searching. He told me to let go. I told him I'd rather let go of him. Everyone told me to forget, she said. But how do you forget a child you carried for 9 months? A child you held for 3 days? A child you named? She said my name, María Luz. I showed her photos of Sophie and Ethan. She held the screen with both hands. When she saw Sophie, she pressed her fingers to her lips. She looks like my mother. On my last night, Carmen gave me a small velvet box. Inside, a silver bracelet engraved with a cross, the kind Colombian mothers buy for baptisms. I bought this the week before you were born. I never had the chance to give it to you. She also gave me the carbon copy of the 1988 letter. I don't want revenge, she said. I only want the truth to be spoken. It will be, I said. I landed in Washington on Tuesday. The anniversary party was Saturday. If you've ever discovered that someone you trusted kept a truth from you, not to protect you, but to protect themselves, drop it in the comments. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Wednesday, Robert called. I've been thinking about your speech. 3 to 5 minutes, I wrote some bullet points. He emailed them. The subject line: Elena's remarks, final. The bullet points: how Robert and Patricia brought home a child no one wanted. How that child grew into a successful analyst, good mother, grateful daughter. How the Rodriguez family proved love crosses every border. The last point: thank you, Dad, for choosing me. I closed the email. Didn't reply. Thursday, I met with Margaret Chen, an attorney specializing in international adoption fraud. I showed her the hospital records, the comparison files, the carbon copy letter. She read for 20 minutes without speaking. This is solid. The falsified relinquishment alone is grounds for a civil complaint. What do you want to do? I want my father to tell the truth in front of the people he lied to. Friday evening, Julia called. Please don't do anything at the party. Mom's been crying all week. Dad's pretending everything's fine, but I can tell he's scared. Did you know, Jules? Did Mom ever say anything? 10 seconds of silence. I knew something was off. The way Mom would get quiet whenever adoption came up. I never asked because asking meant knowing. Just don't destroy them, please. Julia, I'm not destroying anyone. I'm telling the truth. There's a woman in Bogotá who spent 38 years looking for her daughter. She wrote to our parents begging to know if her child was alive. Dad received that letter and never answered. That's what I'm telling people tomorrow. Julia was crying. I have to go. Marcus came in smelling like motor oil and sawdust. Set a mug of chamomile on the counter. I didn't want revenge. I wanted the version of my life that had been erased. And the only person standing between me and that version was a man who thought he owned my gratitude. Saturday morning, 74 degrees. The country club ballroom was already decorated. Chevy Chase Country Club, 180 chairs, round tables with ivory tablecloths, centerpieces of white roses, a banner, "Congratulations, Robert and Patricia Rodriguez, 40 years together." I read the program. 4 p.m., welcome 4:15 p.m., video tribute 4:30 p.m., remarks from colleagues 5 p.m., remarks by Elena Rodriguez, 5:15 p.m., response from Robert. My name on 180 programs. 5 p.m. Robert stood near the stage greeting arrivals. Patricia beside him in a lavender dress. Robert saw me. There she is, my miracle girl. I smiled. I'd been practicing that smile for 38 years. Marcus squeezed my hand. I felt the envelope in my jacket pocket, the carbon copy folded once. Robert mouthed, 5 o'clock. I nodded. The video played. 10 minutes of photographs, Robert in his law office, Robert and Patricia's wedding, Robert receiving awards. Then, Robert and Patricia at Dulles Airport, 1987, holding a baby wrapped in white, dark hair, dark eyes, bewildered, me, title card. Our family's proudest moment. The room sighed. A woman pressed a napkin to her eyes. Footage from 1990. Robert holding 3-year-old me. God placed this child in our arms. We are humbled every day. Applause. I looked at Patricia. She wasn't watching. She was twisting a napkin, staring at her lap. She knew. She'd always known. The video ended. Lights up. Pastor Williams. And now, a few words from Elena. I stood. 180 people looked at me. The walk to the podium felt like a mile. I reached it, adjusted the microphone, looked out. Robert leaning back, satisfied. Patricia gripping her water glass. Julia staring, eyes saying, "Please." I looked at Robert. He nodded. I opened my mouth. "Good evening. My name is Elena Rodriguez." Pause. Or, at least, that's the name I was given. Robert's smile dimmed. My father asked me to speak about what this family means to me. So I will. I pulled out the letter, unfolded it, smoothed it on the podium. I was going to read the speech my father wrote for me, but I think you deserve to hear a different letter instead. Robert's smile disappeared. I looked at him. Dad, I want to give you a chance right now, in front of everyone who respects you. Tell them the truth about how I came to this family. The room went still. Robert stood, buttoned his jacket. Elena, this isn't the time or place. Then when, Dad? You've had 37 years. Sit down, Elena. I didn't sit. All right, then I'll read it myself. Robert moved toward the podium. Marcus stood, positioned himself between Robert and the stage. Robert stopped. Pastor Williams. Robert, what's going on? 180 people watching. I unfolded the letter. Tissue-thin paper. Careful handwriting. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Rodriguez, my name is Carmen Vargas. I am a nurse in Bogotá, Colombia. In May of 1987, I gave birth to a daughter at a hospital in the Chapinero district. She was healthy. I held her for 3 days. A chair creaked. On the 3rd day, the hospital told me my daughter needed specialist care. When I returned, she was gone. The staff told me she had been placed with an adoption agency. The agency told me it was for the best. Total silence. I did not sign papers giving up my daughter. I was never asked. I was never informed. I have been searching for her since the day she was taken. Someone set down a fork. The metal clinked. I am writing to you because the agency provided me with your name and address. I do not want to take my daughter from you. I only want to know that she is alive, that she is safe, that she knows I exist. I looked up, looked at Robert. This letter was mailed to the Rodriguez household in June of 1988. It was received, and it was never answered. The room fractured. Whispers spread like cracks. I know it was received because the woman who wrote it, my birth mother, kept the carbon copy. I have it right here. Pastor Williams stood. Let's everyone take a breath. Didn't matter. The question was in the room. Deacon Harris. Robert, did you know about this? Robert was standing, face like old paper. 15 seconds of silence. We did what we thought was best for the child. His voice cracked. We were told the birth mother was unstable. She was a registered nurse with a stable job, Dad. Who told you she was unstable? The agency that was shut down in 2003 for falsifying adoption documents? Patricia began to cry, silent, shaking. Julia sat frozen. Robert shifted, defense to sentiment. Everything I did out of love. Love doesn't hide letters from mothers looking for their children. The senior partner stood, walked to the exit. 3 couples followed. The door opened and closed. Opened and closed. You gave me a name, Dad, but you took one first. Robert sat down slowly. Half an hour later, the ballroom was nearly empty. Caterers wrapping foil, banner crooked. Julia came first, put her arms around me. I'm sorry, I should have asked a long time ago. Patricia walked over, mascara running. I'm sorry, Elena. I should have given you that letter 38 years ago. I was afraid of losing you, and afraid of him. Marcus, let's go home. We drove in silence. The silver bracelet in my pocket next to the program and the letter. 3 objects, from 3 worlds. An anniversary party celebrating 40 years together. This one celebrated the end of a 38-year lie. That night, I called Carmen. Sunday morning in Bogotá. I told her what happened. The letter read aloud. The 180 guests. Robert's face when the room turned. Long pause. Then her response. Are you okay? I'm okay. Then that is enough. The truth was spoken. That is all I ever wanted. I looked at the silver bracelet. It sat catching the blue light from the microwave. For 38 years, I'd been Elena Rodriguez, a name chosen by people who'd paid to make it legal. It fit like a borrowed coat. Functional, but always wrong across the shoulders. Tonight, for the first time, I felt like María Luz. I slipped the bracelet onto my wrist. It fit. The next morning, 3 calls. First, Margaret Chen. I want to file a civil complaint against New Hope's successor organization. I have 42 pages, no relinquishment signature, a transfer fee matching what my parents paid. That's strong, and since Saturday, I've had 3 other families call, all adopted through New Hope in the 80s, all want to know if their files were falsified. 3 other families. Second, Julia. I'm not punishing Mom and Dad. I'm protecting myself. And I'm protecting the truth Carmen spent 38 years trying to tell. I know. I saw his face when you read that letter. He knew. He's always known. Third, Montgomery County Courthouse, adult name change process. What name are you changing to? María Luz Vargas Rodriguez. For the first time, I heard my real name spoken by a stranger in my own country. Robert called Tuesday, voice different, lower, slower. I think we should talk, just us. Coffee shop in Bethesda, mid-morning, public. He was already sitting, button-down shirt, khakis, coffee untouched. Looked 10 years older. I need you to understand. When we adopted you, we were told the birth mother had abandoned you. We believed them. You received a letter from her in 1988. She begged to know if her child was alive. I was trying to protect our family. You were trying to protect yourself. He flinched. What do you want from me, Elena? I want you to stop pretending. No more miracle from Colombia. No more God placed her in our arms. Just the truth. That you paid an agency to process a fraudulent adoption. And when the birth mother contacted you, you chose silence. Long silence. I was 44 when we brought you home. I'd never held a baby before. I was terrified, and I told myself that giving you a good life would make the rest of it okay. I know you believe that. That's the saddest part. I stood, left my coffee, walked out. The tragedy of Robert Rodriguez was not that he was cruel. It was that he was frightened, and he let his fear make every decision for 38 years. Last time I sat across from my father. Week later, Patricia called. I moved to Julia's house. I can't be in that house, not with him. Not with everything I should have said and didn't. I gave you that envelope because I couldn't carry it, but I should have given it sooner. I was weak, I was afraid of him, and I chose my fear over your mother's pain. I'll carry that for the rest of my life. Can I still see Sophie and Ethan? We'll talk, not today, but we'll talk. I sent her a photo of Carmen by the window, afternoon light. She looks kind. She is. I'm glad she found you. I'm glad someone did. Name change petition approved 3 weeks later. Before I finish, have you ever had to choose between the family that raised you and the truth about who you are? That's what this was. I wasn't choosing one family over another. I was choosing myself, maybe for the first time. 2 months after the party, Robert resigned from the church board. Pastor Williams asked him to step down after congregation members raised concerns. Robert put the house on the market, moved into a one-bedroom in Rockville. Patricia didn't go with him. Margaret Chen. 4 families now contacted her office. 2 found the same discrepancy. Children listed as abandoned whose Colombian records showed living parents. You opened a door. My birth mother opened it. I just walked through. Robert didn't contact me. Julia said he was managing. He told her he didn't regret what he'd done. He regretted that I'd found out. He didn't lose his family because I told the truth. He lost it because the truth was heavier than the story he'd built to contain it. September. I flew back to Bogotá. Sophie and Ethan came. Carmen met us at the apartment. She'd cleaned every surface, spent 2 days cooking. The table was set with ajiaco, soup for special occasions, the reunion she'd waited 38 years for. Sophie walked up. Are you my other grandma? Carmen looked at Dr. Moreno. When she understood, she knelt. See. Ethan was shy. Carmen pulled out a wooden toy, painted parrot. Ethan examined it. Cool. We stayed a week. Carmen taught Sophie to make arepas, showed Ethan how to count in Spanish, cooked every meal, watched the kids eat with an expression of someone catching up on 38 years of dinners. 3rd day, she guided my hand to write my name in Spanish. María Luz. First time I wrote my own name in the language I was born into. October 2024, Montgomery County District Court. Marcus beside me. Sophie and Ethan behind us. Julia in the back row. On my phone, video call. Carmen at her kitchen table in Bogotá. Cream cardigan, Dr. Moreno beside her. Judge reviewed my petition. Reason for the name change? I'm taking back the name I was born with. She signed the order. María Luz Vargas Rodriguez. Sophie tugged my sleeve. Mom, do I call you Maria now? You call me Mom. That's the only name that matters. On the screen, Carmen smiled, said something in Spanish. Mi hija, my daughter. I held the phone up. All of us. Marcus, Sophie making a peace sign, Ethan holding his parrot, Julia waving. I slid the silver bracelet up my wrist, the one meant for a baptism 38 years late. We walked into October sunlight, silver spring and early fall, warm gold. My name is María Luz Vargas Rodriguez. I'm 38 years old, and for the first time in my life, I know exactly who I am. That's my story. If you had to choose, staying silent to keep the peace, or speaking the truth even if it cost you everything, what would you do? Tell me in the comments. And if this story made you feel something, if it made you think about your own name, your own family, your own version of the truth, hit subscribe. Thank you for listening. Thank you for